watching Morning at NTV.
Welcome back to the show. Happy Friday if you're still joining us. Today the topic is on love. So we'll be focusing on marriage. Are you in a cohabiting situation and you've been thinking, how do I go about, legalizing my marriage? How do I go about getting that certificate? Don't you worry, we'll be having that discussion. And in studio, I have Charles Nsimbi, who is the manager, civil registration at URSB. Thank you for making time.
Thank you, Mala.
And welcome to NTV.
Thank you very much.
So this is a big discussion, marriages. The different marriages that are actually occurring in Uganda. What are the types of marriages that are recognizable under URSB and the government at that?
Well, thank you. The marriage is recognized by law, not even only URSB, but by law. So if you are going to say you're married at all, outside the law, you're not married, you're a girlfriend. There are four major types. There's a customary marriage, which we all know as Kwanjula, Kuhingira, and stuff like that, which most people think is a step towards marriage. It's an actual marriage under the law. Then we have the religious marriages, which are specific, like Mohammedan marriage and divorce, which caters for the Muslim marriages and divorce, that is according to Sharia. Then we have the Hindu marriage and divorce, which caters for our brothers and sisters for the Hindu faith. And finally, we have the marriages under the Marriage Act, which are monogamous. They allow only one spouse each, one wife. And those are the ones which are either done by the government registrar at URSB or at the district. They're the ones which used to be known as a DC. Or, interestingly, they are the same marriages which are done in Christian churches. The government licenses the churches, and then the churches celebrate marriages and make returns to government.
Okay, so you said the basic thing and the thing that actually legalizes a union is for it to either fall under these four types and for it to be licensed. So the parties need to have a license.
They have to get a certificate.
A certificate for that. Okay, you've talked about Kwanjula being falling under the customary marriages. Do Kwanjulas, for someone to actually have a Kwanjula, do they have to get a license for it? Currently, is it happening?
No. The Kwanjula is celebrated according to the customs of whatever. So the Baganda will do a Kwanjula, the Westerners will do a Kuhingira, and the Langi will do a Nyom, according to their customs. What the government does that after you have done that, and you have proof of that, then you proceed to the sub-county or Gombo, as most people know it, and you register that, and you actually get a certificate of customary marriage.
And have you seen this happening? Do people who officiate their unions in Kwanjulas, do they go that step further after to get a certificate? Because we've seen many people having Kwanjulas, and just before the break you're telling me you think that it should be a thing that should be done before the Kwanjula, such that everyone actually gets it before they have the Kwanjula. For it to be officiated, customary marriages, there has to be that Kwanjula. Is it something that you're thinking about? Because you're having so many Kwanjulas happening, and you say that for a marriage to be licensed, it's actually beneficial for all the parties, such that this partner of mine tomorrow will not have a Kwanjula with someone else.
Absolutely.
So how soon will this take effect, where the people have to get the certificates first before they officiate a Kwanjula?
Now, you see, the Kwanjula, the customary marriage, is the only marriage which is not celebrated by the government registrar, by someone appointed by the government. The Muslim, the Hindu, the Christian, and the DC one, all of them are celebrated. Kwanjula is not celebrated. It actually occurs somewhere and is only registered. After it has been, of course, because the marriage ceremony is the Kwanjula itself, and then you register it after. So what we're doing now is to work with the cultural institutions so that you can get, many cultural institutions have their traditional certificates. Buganda here, you get a certificate from, I think, Bulange, and you go and you present it and the parents sign. Now that's the evidence that you have fulfilled the Uganda customs for Kwanjula. That would be the evidence you need at the sub-county to register it. So what we are doing is to work with the cultural institutions so that the customary marriage certificate, the blank, goes together with that cultural certificate. that makes it easier, because then when you celebrate the Kwanjula thing, at the end of it you can all fill the certificate, and if you have the sub-county chief, if you have invited him, he can sign and stamp he has witnessed the what? The occasion. It would be a lot easier than for you to go and do a Kwanjula in my home village of Chanamukaka, come back to Kampala over the weekend, and then go back next week to register it. So that's the initiative we're taking, and that's because of what you've talked about, Mala, that we register about 20, 50 customary marriages a month. We know that there are
many
thousands of customary marriages happening every weekend across this country. So we know that it's a drop in this, and that's why we are working with the cultural institutions, because customary marriage is essentially a cultural thing.
Yes.
It's a customary. It's according to the customs. So the only way to intervene to get there is to work with the cultural institutions. And that's useful, of course.
So there is provision for someone to actually register the Kwanjula. What are the benefits? Because I'm sure there's someone watching us who's saying, you know what, I already had my Kwanjula and we're waiting maybe to get married in a year's time, and I'm comfortable. I think we're happy. I trust my partner. What would you tell that viewer who has that mindset? It's not a must for me to actually bother myself and get my Kwanjula licensed and registered. What are the benefits? What do you convince them?
No, they say, first of all, it gives you the identity. You see, I said outside those four, you are not a wife, you are not a husband, you are a boyfriend and your girlfriend. So the first identity that you're married to, it doesn't matter whether they call you Mrs. Nsimbi. If you've not registered under any of those acts, you are not married. And this goes out even if you went to a church which does not have a license. Yes, you are married according to heaven, but right here, according on earth, you are not.
Yes.
So that is the whole point. The first thing you do is, the benefit you get is the identity that you're actually married. And so you get benefits, but also responsibilities, out of that relationship, which is now legal and recognized. In Uganda, unfortunately, we're not very good at registering things, documenting things. Well, considering that we're Africans, our tradition was always oral. So
yes.
Perhaps we have maintained that even in the .com era. But registering something gives you the ownership. It gives you the legal responsibility to deal with this person. But most importantly, they are now, you and I probably are on medical insurance, and now government is mooting universal health care and insurance. How are you going to be able, Mala, to determine whose spouse is whose? Actually, I may register my side dish instead of my spouse, So I have to, if you're going to do to any movement, any planning, anything that happens at an individual level, I don't even want to go into the fact that if any of you, God forbid, was to pass on, and I think you've seen that, you're in the media, what happens? Everybody pops out from the woodwork. Everybody claiming to be a spouse. And what happens to your estate is split up into citizens down, and that's the end of you.
Okay, so those are the benefits. And what is the process like for getting your Kwanjula, your customary marriage or civil marriage registered? Someone who is watching, where should they start? Be it here in Kampala or in the rural areas?
Okay. For customary, it's registered at the sub-county where it happened. So you go to Chanamukaka to pick my sister, you have to register it at the Gombora, at the Chanamukaka, because it's a customary. It must have happened.
Yes.
And therein lies a bit of the barrier, because most people go for the Kwanjula over the weekends. The government office of the sub-county is not open. It requires you to go back, and that's why we're doing those initiatives. For the church marriages, or the civil marriages, since the registrar is actually the government person, whether it is a priest or the registrar, the cow, the chief or administrative officers, the registration is instant. What happens is in churches, as long as the church has a license, when you get married, you don't even have any idea. You go and sign those things, but at the end of every month, the church will put together a return form for all the couples they have wedded that month, and bring the returns to URSB. So the registration is automatic. Among the fees you pay in the church is the 35,000 that's required to register your marriage. So all you need to find out from your church is, one, do they have a license? Do they hold a license to wed people? And two, do they remit returns to URSB? I keep saying, I hope UNEB will not sue me, but I keep saying this is like UNEB. The church is like a school. A school must have a UNEB number, and the headmaster must pay the UNEB fees back to UNEB. Otherwise, if you start all over in a school which doesn't have a license, I'm sorry, you don't have your...
And for the Muslim marriages and Hindu marriages?
Yes. The Muslim marriages, again, because the registrars, the law which governs the Muslim marriages, Mohammedan Marriage and Divorce Act, follows Sharia. And so that's why for it it's marriage and divorce, because we register both the Muslim marriage, and when they do a talaq, we also register that. So what happens is the imam gets the certificates from, you heard a gentleman there talking about it, from the county, or what they call the Tuareg Sheikh, who is the controller of that area, and then he will celebrate the marriage either in a masjid or at home in a nikah, and issue with a certificate, a copy of which will go back to the Tuareg. Ultimately, it will go back to either Supreme Council or the Supreme Mufti, and they will bring the returns to URSB. Incidentally, all that I'm saying is the ideal situation.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
it does not take
it doesn't happen like that every time. Many Muslim marriages have happened and we have not got the returns. And many Christian marriages have happened in churches, one which do not have even licenses. But two, even the ones which have license and they have not made the returns.
You've just mentioned, before we went on a break, you told me you're actually challenging me. You asked me, am I married yet? And I said yes. And you asked me, are you sure that the church you were married in was actually licensed? So if someone is watching us today and they want to get married, how do they go about establishing whether the church they want to get married in is actually licensed by URSB?
Well, it's interesting, but sometimes we fear our own churches.
Yes.
You choose a church. Just, again, I'll use the example of a school. Just like you choose a school for your children. How do you find out if a school has a UNEB number? You ask them. You know, it's supposed to be that simple. But of
course they will tell you yes. So do I take a step further and go to URSB to confirm?
You can do a search with URSB. Actually, we are in the process right now of making that online. Right now, in another 6 months or so, you'll be able to sit with your iPhone, as I see right there, and you'll be able to check if the church is licensed. And you'll even be able to check on your marital status online. Unfortunately, at the moment, you need to do that physically. You need to walk into a URSB office, which are everywhere. We have an office headquarters, but we have at Posta, we have in down there in Chikubo at Sekaziga Mall, we have another one at UIA, we have in Mbale, Gulu, Mbarara, Arua. So you can, now you still have to physically walk in and conduct a search.
Okay.
Yeah.
According to the
periodically, we actually put out, every quarter, we put out in the newspapers. I'm sure you have seen it.
Yes.
And I think next week it should be coming out in the Monitor. So yeah. You don't have a problem with that.
Okay, so not that.
Yes,
next week you need to look out for that if your church is actually licensed.
Yes, they will be there. You'll be able to tell.
There are many people who, for example, you say the number of Kwanjulas that have been registered are low. But if someone is watching and they're saying, my Kwanjula was actually registered and I have the rights as a wife. But you told me that there are also disadvantages to that, especially for couples that are Christian. Expound.
I don't know if it's a disadvantage. From a male point of view, it's an advantage. Customary marriage is potentially polygamous. In other words, there is no problem. You can Kwanjula this lady and the next one and the next one ad infinitum, as far as you want, you know. There is no limit. And that's why I was telling you, as ladies, I think that's why people say, the other guy said kutongoza, they go to they go on to go to church, because the church marriage is governed by the Marriage Act. It's monogamous. So the disadvantage of customary is that it's potentially polygamous, and you can have very many, all of them legally, and you can register all of them.
Okay.
There's no problem. But I'm not sure the ladies would love to do that. So they end up proceeding to the next view.
So if your Kwanjula was actually registered, push for a civil marriage, because it's potentially polygamous.
Yes.
I understand that you have a question on the ground with Andrew. Andrew, if you can hear me.
Yes, Mala, I can hear you live and clear. We have two questions here. I'll start with the chairman, Senkong, who happens to be the chairman of Natete Market Chai.
Ensonga yange enkulu gye ntunuulidde oba ekibuuzo kye njagala okuleeta ekireese obuzibu mu mbeera y'obufumbo abamu n'obutabugoberera kyekyo ensonga y'okubanga singa nkeera enkya ne nkwata mukyala wange gwe nagattibwa naye mu mateeka nemba nga mukutte n'omusajja omulala bwe tugenda mu mateeka mu kooti gavumenti eragira nti etteeka erikyaliwo erikyatambula bandiyiira siringi 600
siringi lukaaga.
Siringi lukaaga. Bwe muwa 10 abanya kunzirizaayo 4. So ndabanga embeera eyo nayo nzibu nnyo kuba bw'otunuulira nti n'omuvubuka omulala ekimugaana okugenda okuwasa oba n'omusajja omukulu nti nze nkwate sente zange nsasule omukyala mbeere naye mu mateeka obukadde 234 mwanjudde tukoze embaga kyokka enkya bwe nnaafunamu embeera enzibu ey'obutategeeragana ayenze mukutte n'omusajja omulala etteeka ligamba kundiyirira nusu lukaaga ekyo ndaba nti gavumenti erina osooka okitunuulira n'eriisa ejjogi kubanga nkitunulira okubanga kyongera n'okuleeta mob justice nti omusajja singa abeera yawasa mukyala we amugje gy'amugje ataddemu sente ze ez'okwanjula ez'embaga naki kati naabanga amusanze n'omusajja mu nnyumba ekyokugamba nti kaagende mu mateeka ye asalawo kujjayo jambiya agamba nti yebeera mula kiggwere wano kubanga obusungu abulina bwe banaagenda mu mateeka ajjamu nusu lukaaga kati ye ngaaga nti anti nze kanneesalirewo kankole kooti kiggwerawo olw'obusungu bw'aba nabwo ekyo nkubira omulanga nti gavumenti ayo etteeka nalyo eritunuulire erisengejje libeere nga kizitowa oba kuva ku miliyoni 5 oba 8 oba 10 nange mbeera awo nga mmanyi nti bwe naagende wa mukyala gundi ne muwalampa baawe nankwata ddala waliwo etteeka eritegeerekeka erijja okunkwata.
Okay, Mala, there you have it. The question is about the law that in case you find your wife, you know, in any adultery case, the law that is currently running is you pay 600 shillings. 600 Ugandan shillings. And Mr. Sengongo says if you pay 1,000, they should give you a balance of like 400 Ugandan shillings. What is the take from the expert there from the Registration Bureau?
You can answer directly.
Thank you very much. First of all, I think the law has been repealed, this one. But the most important thing, what Haj has just said, is that you have caught someone in adultery. That means you must have registered your marriage. And I think for me that is the key. You see, you cannot take, and that's why these things happen all the time. And as Haj has said, you get someone with your wife, you go to the police, they release them. Why? Because you don't have, you see, Haj has talked about paying mahari and everything and getting the wife and spending a lot of money. But if it is not registered, that means legally they don't know. They don't know. So even if you went to police, you went to court, you would lose that case. You would not even pay the 600.
But the 600 shillings...
that law was repealed.
It was repealed.
Yes, that law was repealed, but now there are other... courts can give you other remedies for that.
I understand we also have another question. Andrew?
Yeah, this one last question. Abudu Buza.
Amanya gange zesaga Abdallah, sangibwa natete Central B. Mbuze ekibuuzo nti babakyala bano bwe tugamba nti nno tulina bawasa mateeka kyandibadde obanga waawo twandikikkiriza naye omukyala yagendanga kubaakoma ku basajja bameka okufumbirwa kubanga nze abakyala bangi nnyo mbalaba emyaka 10 nafumbirwa abasajja 4 nafumbirwa abasajja 3 ekintu ekyo tugenda kuba tukikola kyo wajja kufumbirwa ne wange afumbirweyo emyaka 4 tugabane ebintu twawukane tugendewo omulala agendewo omulala afumbirweyo emyaka 5 nawe agabane ebintu twawukane olowooza nga te nkiraba nnyo ne ku bayimbi bennyinnyini abafa abawano omuyimbi omu emyaka 10 asobola okufumbirwa abakazi abasajja 2 owulira kati ekintu bwe kiti bandisose kitunulamu nga gavumenti nesooka ekitutangazaamu kyo kigenda kubeera kitya.
All right, there you have it. The expert. The question here is very simple. Now that we have the law, and when you're going to separate with someone or divorce someone, you'll have to take a 50-50. His question is, how are you going to handle these women who actually could take it like a business on a daily? They get married to you, in after 2 years, they leave you, they take the 50, they get another one. Is there a clear procedure on how this can be tracked?
Is there a clear procedure?
Yes, of course. In fact, again, it goes back to marriage registration. I really like these questions, and they are lovely questions. It goes back to registration. You see, that gentleman, Abdallah, has said they get married in these 2 years and then you go on. That happens most likely because the marriage is not legal. Because there is no documentation. Otherwise, documentation, divorce in a court, first of all, you have the 6 months of separation. where they, by court supervised, you are separated but not yet divorced. And it's only after that. It's very similar like in Islam. If Abdallah knows that very well, even in Islam there is the first tarak and then it is finalized after, I think, the 3 months. So the ease in which people can move from relationships is because there are no consequences, you know. And it is not automatic that in divorce you're going to split your property 50-50. We have had very high profile people, I'm sure you've seen it, you have reported it on news,
yes,
who have separated and they did not certainly split 50. That's because the relationship was documented. You see, in court they are going to say which property did you make when you are married, which means it has a start point and an end point. When you are not registered when you are married in court, there is no start date. I can even get the things you got yourself when you were so much young and alone.
Yes.
When we are married now, we have a start date. You cannot claim for the property I got long before unless we agreed.
Let's talk about the conversion of a customary marriage into a civil marriage or church marriage. What's the process like?
No, it's simple. Most churches require that you have done a customary. You would have done a kwanjula, a kuhingira, and excuse me, and the parents have what? Have signed.
Yes.
So what essentially they are saying is you are converting. What happened? There is only one caveat I would place. For you to convert a customary marriage to a Christian marriage, which is monogamous, it must be with the same person. That is the key. And we have been also educating the churches because they were not looking out for that. Many people had done customary marriage because it's potentially polygamous. They have this old wife and the second one, and then gets a new young mala looking like girl and takes her to church. That church marriage is invalid. Okay. Because you have subsisting marriages. Yes. The customary marriage is a legal marriage, remember? So if you have been with your wife for 20, 30 years and you get this nice young slave queen now, you can't marry her. You can't marry her in church.
But how then do you go about establishing that, you know what, for example, today, let's assume I'm not married, and today I meet this charming man, and you know what he
not
says?
In the names of Unsimbi.
And he says, you know what, I'm going to come, bring all the cows your parents want, we'll do the biggest kwanjula possible, and now that I have the information, I'll tell him, you know what, our kwanjula has to be registered. We register it. And I'll tell him we need to do this officially. But how then will I go about establishing whether this charming man actually never did a kwanjula with someone else before? Yeah,
that's a good challenge. Because for churches, if you are doing a church wedding, they would announce and give an opportunity to someone.
But is that
for a kwanjula, they don't. You see, if it's taking you for kwanjula, nobody is going to announce it. So the chances are quite high. But you see, if you just did a kwanjula, and it's also kwanjula there would be no problem. Potentially polygamous, so you can do that. But if you did a monogamous marriage somewhere else, in fact, Mala, you're so nice because you've given me one of the best benefits of registering a marriage. The only place you would probably be able to check would be your RSB. But if he didn't register that kwanjula initially, that's the challenge. That's why our people are going to have a lot of problems. When will you enact this into law, whereby every kwanjula has to be registered? It is the law, my dear. It is the law. But how then do we make sure that everyone registered the kwanjulas? Because you told me that very few kwanjulas are actually registered. How do we get to that point where we register all kwanjulas just to fight against polygamy? And even you told me that one of the disadvantages of not registering either your kwanjula or your marriage is, you know, violence. How do we go about it? When will it take, because we need this to protect partners. My dear, that's why we're here. First of all, it is a mind change, a mindset change thing. People have to get this information. They did not have it. And like I said earlier, Ugandans are not good at registering or even implementing laws. I mean, we have the border law where you have to wear a helmet. Yes. If we went outside now here and we started counting how many passengers actually have, many don't have. Most of them don't have. Yes. So the law actually has been in place. The law says you must register. The advantages, the benefits are there. But nobody's really bothered. So that's why we're making this drive. That's why URSB is all over the place. So in a nutshell, as we close this show, talk to someone watching us today. Give them the benefits of why they should bother to register, be it a customary marriage or the one to actually convert that into a civil marriage. Because most of the time they say it's expensive. Convince them why they should actually come and register. What are the benefits? I will quote from just this week we were with the Bishop of Mukono, Anglican, Bishop Sebagala,
Yes.
and he said something that struck me. He said, if you think it is expensive to regularize, to register your union, just think of the cost of not registering it.
Which are?
The cost of not registering it means that I can go and wed someone else, that even if someone picked my wife, there is nothing I can do in court about it, that I cannot get the benefits, NSSF, anything. If I passed on, my family, my children, can be taken by my brothers and all the property which was there, and you, the wife, are told to move, which happens every other day.
Correct.
Yeah, that if I am violent in my relationship and I throw you out, even if you went to police, it would be a common assault because there is no official relationship between us, even if I've spent 20 years. That if I contributed to building our home because I am Mrs. and I call myself Mrs. or Mr., I contributed. If I threw you out and you went to court, you might not be able to get anything.
So that and many other disadvantages of not registering your marriage.
Thank you so much. Terrible.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you,
I'm
Mala.
sure you have all had from the horse's mouth. The benefits are so many, and registering your union is for your benefit. So take charge today and make the correct move when it comes to love and your union. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this short break with Take Notes.